Hey guys, in this video I want to showcase a recording experiment I call Percussion Buzz. If you've ever played in a room with an acoustic drum kit, you probably noticed how the kick, the toms, or any loud signal like a bass guitar rattles the snare even when it's not playing, creating a sort of snare buzz sound. This sound can really complement drum recordings, and there's even a plugin that does just that. It adds snare buzz to your signal. So I thought about creating this exact effect but with percussion instruments. So while I don't have a drum kit, I do have plenty of percussion. So in order to emulate this sound of a drum or a loud signal softly exciting the percussion instrument, I decided I'll do it by recording each percussion instrument, playing it as quietly as possible, sort of like an ASMR video. Then also came the exact opposite idea, which is the noisiest, loudest percussion buzz possible, which just means playing the instruments as loud as I possibly can, the anti-ASMR version. And here are some examples of what we'll be making today. Let me show you the instruments I recorded and the recording process. So as you can see, we have quite a few instruments we'll be recording for this experiment. I have a frog shaker, a wooden shaker, metal bells, two types of seed or shell shakers, one large and the other small, sleigh bells, two brushes, a bunch of wine corks bundled together, a metallic shaker, and a gyro that has metallic bits inside of it, producing a really cool crystalline sound. I recorded them using two mics, Zoom H5, which is my close mic in this case. It's an XY stereo mic capsule, and it will capture the close, intricate sound of the instruments. And then I also used the Zoom H2N, which has three mics recording in mid-side mode. And I positioned it on a chair in the middle of my room. It's about 2 meters away from the instruments, resulting in a room mic sound. Since we want to record the instruments playing both as quiet and as loud as possible, I recorded them at different times. Nighttime is ideal for recording very quiet material as there's less outside noise coming into the recording. And that matters, especially when stacking a bunch of these recordings on top of each other. The room noise will add up as well. So if I have 10 instruments or 20 instruments, you will hear 20 times the room noise of the entire takes. And morning time is probably better for playing instruments as loud as possible and still allowing your neighbors to sleep. I want to show you how different the close and room mic sound, so let's do a few A-B. This is the close mic, this is the room mic. Close mic, room mic. Close mic, room mic. After I have the recordings, we need to process them so they'll be usable. We have 4 recordings at this stage, a close mic recording of the Zoom H5 and a room mic recording of the Zoom H2N, double that for the quiet take and the loud take and we get 4. So the first step is taking each of these and finding a quiet spot in them. Normalizing it to verify it's a section of only room noise and not like a click or the instrument playing accidentally, so we don't denoise something that we actually want in the recording. And then we acquire that as the noise profile and denoise each one of the recordings. Once they're all denoised, the next step is to align the room and close mic recordings with each other. I usually do that by clapping loudly at the start of the recording, so I get a loud signal I can align according to. After the recordings are aligned, I decided to temporarily add OTT to the master, mostly to bring out the volume in them so I can hear precisely when the percussion starts playing. That way I can chop the recordings very precisely. After they're all chopped, I send each instrument recorded to a different playlist track for it. For example, a playlist track for the gyro, a playlist track for the wooden shaker, and so on. And this helps keep track of what this part of the recording is. Now, in order to logically separate them when rendering, I set the room mic recordings and the close mic recordings to separate mixer tracks. And then once everything is in its intended playlist track, color coding the track can also help keeping track. So now that we're all set up to export the laid recordings, I like to make inner mixes of them. So for example, taking all of the shakers that I recorded and layering them together as a shaker mix, or all of the wooden instruments as a wooden mix. This allows more flexibility and different types of percussion buzz, and this is possible just because we recorded each instrument separately in its own separate take. You can see me setting time markers in FL Studio, marking the different mixes and whether they're loud or quiet. And once that's all done, we can render the mixer tracks, which will provide us with two tracks, one for the room mic and one for the closed mic. They both will be time marked, which makes it easier to edit and save these into individual samples. And at that stage, we have Percussion Buzz with all the variety. Now the last step is incorporating it into a track, making a sort of signal like a kick or a bass guitar excite the percussion buzz that we emulated, so it will only make noise once it is being excited. Okay, so now that we've recorded everything, the last thing to do is to demonstrate how this works. So as you can see here, I've labeled all of the different mixes in a folder. So I have like the full mix on the quiet, close mic, or the room mic. Same for the loud version. A shaker mix, a wood mix. So I picked out a few of these and loaded them into a project. And the first demonstration I want to make is using a bunch of very simple drums. So let's hear them. It's just some stomp kicks. So what I did is I had a ghost kick that plays according to the rhythm of these drums. And this ghost kick goes to a channel where the percussion buzz are routed into. So inside this channel there's a gate. It has the ghost kick as a sidechain input, and I'm using that sidechain in the gate. So only when you have the ghost kick playing, the gate will open up and allow the percussion buzz to play. Now the thing is, usually gates are very sharp, so you get something like this, which is nice, but I really wanted to give this impression of the percussion being excited and then slowly trailing off in volume, so that's why I increased the release. And that's basically the basic idea behind that. So let me demonstrate with a bit more drums. So I have this section. As you can see, the kick is playing according to the kick of the drum kit, which is here. You have the ghost kick, and it is also playing the snares as well. So normally this part would sound like this. And then once we trigger the percussion buzz based on the ghost kick, you get a much fuller sound. I think we can even shorten the release time since the kicks are very closely spaced to each other. And let's try with the different mixes that we have. So let's try, for example, the full mix of the quiet version. And now let's try the room mic. Okay, now let's try, for example, the metal mix. So let's start with the close mic. And now the room. Okay, now let's try the loud version of the full mix. Let's start with the close mic. And the room mic. The room mic is so washed out and blurry, it's almost like a cymbal that's being triggered by the kick. And let's try and hear those in a full context. So let's do the room mic, for example. So yeah, that sounds really cool. Let's try the metal mix on the second part with the lead. So yeah, that's how this percussion buzz experiment would work on drums. I want to showcase another usage with a bass guitar. So for this section, I also have a bass guitar recorded. Let's hear it. Okay, so I did the exact same thing. I routed the bass guitar as a sidechain input for another gate. And this time I really pushed the threshold up so that the bass guitar only passes it at the beginning of its attack. You can see all the red lines show that it doesn't pass the threshold for the gate to trigger. And I used the ASMR mix, which is just the quietest parts I could find in the recordings. They sound like this. Very ASMR-ish. So let's hear how they are triggered by the bass guitar. So in my feeling, this really emulates very well the sort of snare buzz that you get when the bass guitar starts playing and exciting the entire drum kit. Let's hear it in the entire context of what's happening, and you can see that it just adds a nice high frequency layer to the entire thing, which is very subtle and mellow. So yeah, these are a bunch of possible usages for the percussion buzz. I hope you like it, and I hope that you can find even more cool usages, and feel free to share them with me. I'd love to see more usages of this experiment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. If you want to check out the percussion buzz made in this video, you can click on the link in the description below to download the free sample. And also check out the full sample pack, which contains 20 different percussion buzz samples.